Mrs. Gate at the Library of Whispers. And today I'm going to take a look at this little booklet. It's from the life and times of Charles II, and this is an illustrated guide to places of interest. Now, this is a little booklet that accompanied a larger book which I have on my shelves, all about Charles II. So it says here, issued with the Book Club Associates series, Kings and Queens of England. And I thought we might take a look inside. I don't think this has ever been opened before. It's from a vintage set of books, which I think were published in the 1960s. So, let's read the introduction. Surprisingly few houses and buildings actually constructed in the reign of Charles II survive today. Many have suffered from the normal vicissitudes of time, but many others were either demolished or remodelled during the 18th and 19th centuries, when the rather simple style of classicism, or the Carolean period, was considered outdated in the current preference for the Palladian fashion. Thus, perhaps the largest body of buildings dating from the reign of Charles II is to be found in London, and was constructed as a result of the Great Fire. This includes the city churches and St. Paul's Cathedral. Although building of these continued long after Charles II's death, they were planned and designed by Wren, that's Christopher Wren of course, and his colleagues in the 1660s and 1670s. Thus, we have included in this booklet references to every city church designed by Wren which still remains standing. We have also included houses which are particularly associated with Charles II, such as those that sheltered him after the Battle of Worcester. We have also included houses built by or lived in by leading members of his court and of architectural importance for the period. This is necessarily a selection, and therefore we have tried to make it as representative as possible. Now, on the front cover, if you were wondering, this is one of the plasterwork ceilings in Holyrood Palace, Edinburgh, incorporating the initials of Charles II. And the back cover here is the north front at Belton House. I'm sure we'll find out more about that inside. And then we have a map, places of interest, Edward Spencer and Earl of Sunderland. The famous minister of Charles II, he loved Althorpe and spent enormous sums upon enlarging the house and enriching the interior with works of art collected during his continental travels. He remodelled the house on the designs of an Italian architect and won from Evelyn much praise for his house, or rather palace, built à la moderne. Unfortunately, little of the second Earl's house remains today, as heavy alterations were carried out by Henry Holland in the 18th century. The exterior has remained comparatively unaltered, as can be seen from Fosterman's painting of the house in 1677. Holland contented himself here by covering the red bricks with white mathematical tiles and filling in the moat. Inside the picture gallery, which probably dates from the Elizabethan house, was panelled by the second Earl with large oak panels and mouldings. Here he hung the beauties of Charles II's court that he had commissioned Sir Peter Lilly to paint. These include Louise de Carolean, one of Charles's mistresses, while another, Barbara Villiers, is represented in a lovely miniature by Cooper. Althorpe, or Althrop, is 6 miles northwest of Northampton. Now this picture is Ashdown House, taken from the southwest. It's in Berkshire. The origin of this strange house is both chivalrous and romantic. It was built by the first Earl of Craven for Elizabeth of Bohemia, Charles I's sister. Craven devoted his life and fortune to the unlucky queen. He bought one castle because it had been the scene of her childhood. He built another on the model of her castle in Bohemia, and Ashdown he consecrated to her, but Elizabeth died before it was completed. Ashdown was begun in 1664, and its design was based upon that of Clarendon House by Sir Roger Pratt, so we would have to see the Belton entry for more information. It has been suggested that Craven intended the house to be a hunting box, and therefore built it so tall and square. Really is tall and square. The house is 5 bays wide, but has 3 main stories, a basement and dormer windows in the steep mansard roof. Like Pratt's houses, the roof has a flat balustraded platform surmounted by a cupola. The designer of Ashdown is not known, although it has been suggested that Captain William Wynd and Balthazar Gerbier, great name, may have collaborated on it. Wynd took over the completion of Hampstead, Marshall in Berkshire for Lord Craven after the death of Gerbier in 1667. Wynd had been born during the Civil War among the exiled royalists, to whom his father was attached in the Netherlands. He came to England at the Restoration and was made a gentleman usher to Elizabeth of Bohemia. His Dutch upbringing may therefore explain the general Netherlandish flavour of Ashdown. The house contains the a central axis, and a saloon of the same width behind it, facing the garden. The interior of the house is richly decorated and superbly furnished. In many of the rooms are to be found the exquisite wood carvings of Grinling Gibbons. They closely resemble his work at Windsor Castle. He uses soft lime wood to produce birds, flowers and fruit, and you can see in this picture a detail of wood carving. Let me show you a bit closer. This is from the chapel gallery. Many of the pieces of furniture still in the house are mentioned in the 1688 inventory, including the mirror, armchairs and tables in the drawing room. The house also contains a fine collection of pictures, including a portrait of Charles II by Sir Peter Lely in the Marble Hall. Belton is 2.5 miles northeast of Grantham on the Lincoln Road. Boscobel House, Shropshire. Boscobel House, like nearby Moseley Old Hall, achieved fame when it gave shelter to Charles II during his flight from the Battle of Worcester in 1651. The house was built in the early 17th century by the Giffards, a Roman Catholic family. It is a small, timber-framed building, more a lodge than a house, and by tradition part of its purpose was to serve as a secret place for Roman Catholic priests during periods of crisis. When Charles II came to Boscobel, it was being looked after by the Penderell brothers. On the 3rd of September, Charles fled from Worcester and hid in the thick woods around Boscobel with the Penderells. At first it was too dangerous for Charles to stay overnight at Boscobel, and therefore he slept in an oak tree with his companion, Major Curless. It's a strange name. Would you really want to be sheltering with somebody called Curless? I don't know. Anyway, the famous royal oak is still preserved in the grounds of Boscobel. On the 7th of September, Charles stayed at Boscobel and then proceeded to Moseley Hall with the Penderells. From there, he made his escape to Bristol with Jane Lane, not John Lane. The old part of Boscobel House is open to the public. The interior is panelled and there is a fine Jacobean fireplace. The room in which Charles is reputed to have stayed still survives, as does the gallery which he used for exercise and to survey the main road. Boscobel is 4 miles east of Dong and 4.5 miles north of Albrighton. Cambridge Trinity College Library. Oh, we like a library. This is considered the most successful of Wren's classical designs and was begun in 1670. The court front has 2 arcaded stories topped by a balustrade with 4 statues in the centre and resembles San Savino's Library of St. Mark in Venice. The riverfront is far more plain and heavy, without orders, but with the upper windows framed in shallow recesses. The interior of the library is surrounded by bookcases up to sill level, where a Corinthian order in plaster begins and rises to the ceiling. The sophisticated balance of the library and its strong Italianate flavour is largely due to Wren's genius. lacks the mannered feeling of many of Wren's buildings and can be said to represent the turning point between early and late Wren architecture. Okay, let's go across to Ham House in Surrey. Ham House is perhaps the best preserved of all Carolean houses. It retains much of its original furniture and interior ornament, and thus gives a very vivid impression of courtly life at the period of the Restoration. The original Ham House was built in 1610 by Sir Thomas Vavasour, but by the succession of Charles II it was held by Elizabeth Murray, Duchess of Dysart. She became closely connected with Charles's close friend, the Duke of Lauderdale, and in 1671 she married him. Lauderdale was the 5th minister in the cabal and held the appointment of Secretary for Scotland. He was much hated by the Scots for his ruthless policy, and his wife became the subject of many scurrilous lampoons. Ham House proved too small for this ambitious pair, and they enlarged and refaced the Jacobean house to create a Restoration mansion of great dignity. Many of the rooms inside the house, especially the new apartments to the south, are surprisingly small, but nevertheless very sumptuous. The ceilings, woodwork, hangings. Chimney pieces, furniture, and the elaborate parquetry floors were all designed with careful regard to the effect of the whole. Much of the decorative work was carried out by Dutch artists and craftsmen, although the principal decorative ceilings were executed by Antonio Verrio, the Italian artist who had worked with May at Windsor Castle. Many of the inset pictures above doors and fireplaces were carried out by William van der Velde the Younger, who was especially skilled at sea pieces and other more minor Dutch artists. One of these artists painted chymists surrounded with retorts and alligator skins in the small closet next to the Duchess's bedchamber. These were said by Walpole to be compliments to the fashion at court, for both Charles and his cousin Rupert had private laboratories. The house is filled with 17th century furniture and contemporary wall hangings, tapestries and upholstery, making Ham richer than any other house of the period in this respect. The house also contains a fine collection of portraits. Ham House is on the south bank of the Thames, opposite Twickenham, and 1 mile south of Richmond Station. Holyrood Palace, Edinburgh. Here it is. The Palace of Holyrood is 16th century in origin, but in 1650 it was occupied by Cromwell's troops, and during this period a destructive fire broke out, causing heavy damage to the interior. Charles II never visited Scotland after his restoration. Perhaps his earlier experience of his Scottish supporters kept him away. Nevertheless, he ordered the reconstruction of the palace to be carried out by the architect William Bruce. 1663 and 1665 by Sir Roger Pratt, one of the leading architects of the Restoration. Pratt had designed Coles Hill in Berkshire in 1649, which was to become the prototype for so many country houses during the Carolean period. Coles Hill was burnt down in 1952, and Pratt's other country houses have also disappeared over the years, so that Kingston Lacy is the one remaining example of his style. Pratt, like Hook, built in the French classical style, and this is evident at Kingston Lacy, with its great pediment and high-hipped roof, surmounted by a balustraded platform and a cupola. The house contains a collection of old masters and other works of art. The extensive grounds were also laid out by Sir Roger Pratt. Kingston Lacy is 2 miles northwest of Wimborne on the Blandford Road. Knowle in Kent. Knowle was begun in 1456 by Thomas Bourchier, Archbishop of Canterbury, and was greatly extended by Thomas Sackville during the reigns of Elizabeth I and James I. The Sackville family suffered badly in fortune during the Civil War, as they were firm adherents to the Royalist cause. With the Restoration, however, Knowle took a new lease of life. Charles Sackville, 6th Earl of Dorset, was a leading figure at Charles II's court, as well as being a poet and patron of poets. He had taken Nell Gwynn as his mistress before her famous liaison with the king, and thus made the king Charles III in her favours. That's an interestingly appropriate for the moment. Dryden dedicated his essay on satire to him, while Rochester described him as the best good man with the worst natured muse. Thus Knowle became a centre of Restoration court society. Knowle owns a fine collection of furniture, silver and porcelain from the time of Charles II. In the Spangle dressing room, the walls are hung with portraits of ladies of Charles's court by Sir Peter Lely, or his studio. In the ballroom are hung portraits of all the Sackville owners of Knowle. Charles, the 6th Earl, is represented in a portrait by Sir Godfrey Kneller. The famous Carolean silver furniture is in the king's bedrooms. The collection consists of a table, tripods, a salver, sconces, mirrors, ginger jars, vases, and a dressing table set. This is a ginger jar here, dating from the reign of Charles II. Let me show you a bit closer. There it is. Knowle is at the Tonbridge end of Sevenoaks, just east of the A21, 25 miles from London. The Chelsea Hospital in London. The Royal Hospital was founded by Charles II as a house for aged and invalid service pensioners. It has been suggested that he was urged to do this by his mistress, Nell Gwynn, but he was clearly also influenced by a desire to imitate Louis XIV, who had founded in 1670 the Hôtel des Invalides in Paris for a similar purpose. The buildings were begun in 1682 by Wren, added to by Robert Adams, and completed by Sir John Soane. Nevertheless, the central figure court and chapel are wholly Wren's work. He had to design buildings around a huge centre court, and there restoration of Charles II in 1616, there were 97 parish churches within the city walls. Fisher's engraving of the city in 1616 shows their medieval towers and spires rising above the tiny, cramped houses. The Great Fire of London of 1666 destroyed St. Paul's Cathedral, and the whole city, except its eastern and northeastern edges. Christopher Wren, who was at this time a young professor at Oxford and a mathematician, was appointed by Charles II as Surveyor General of the King's Works. Wren, with the Bishop of London, the Lord Mayor and the Archbishop of Canterbury, formed the Committee for the Rebuilding of the City Churches. 36 churches were not rebuilt for various administrative reasons, but the rest had to be redesigned and constructed, an enormous task. Wren was responsible for building 51 of them. He left some of the churches to his surveyors, Robert Hooke, John Oliver, Peter Mills, and later to Nicholas Hawksmoor. The woodwork and furnishings for the interiors were contracted for by the parishioners with local craftsmen. The fabrics were paid for by parochial subscription and from a state tax on coal. The skyline of London became an important factor to Wren, possibly because he was also concerned with the rebuilding of St. Paul's Cathedral. Thus, he added to the bodies of the churches, towers, steeples and spires of various styles and designs. Wren was principally inspired in his design for the city churches from contemporary Italian, French and Dutch sources, intermixed with the traditional native Gothic of the churches which had been destroyed. However, in his designs he shows not only a theoretical interest in architecture, but also a realisation of the practical liturgical demands of the Anglican Church. Thus, although the churches show a variety of plans and styles, they all have prominent altars and fonts, pulpits in the nave, and seats ranged within hearing distance. Some churches were rebuilt with nave, aisles and chancel screen on the medieval plan. Others were cross-shaped with a dome over the central crossing. Others were wholly domed. Some had one aisle, some were oblong and unaisled. Occasionally, Wren tried to reproduce an adaptation of the church that had been there before the fire. He carefully designed the steeple of St. Mary le Bow and the spire of St. Dunstan in the east to recall their medieval predecessors. At St. Mary, Aldermary, he designed the whole church so that it retained its Gothic character with a pinnacle tower, medieval plan and a fan-vaulted roof to the aisles. Almost all the city churches were damaged by German bombing in 1940, and several were completely destroyed. 11 churches, 7 of which were by Wren, have not been rebuilt. The following are Wren churches in the city which still exist and can be visited. So we have St. Andrew, Holborn, 1686 to 7, which is at Holborn Circus. St. Andrew by the Wardrobe, 1685. Paternoster Royal, 1687 to 94 at College Street. St Nicholas Cole Abbey, 1671 to 81 at Queen Victoria Street. St Peter Cornhill, 1667 to 87 at Cornhill. St Stephen Walbrook, 1672 to 7 at Walbrook, and St Bedest Forest Lane, 1695 to 1700 at Cheapside. Now this one here, illustrated, is the steeple of St Bride's Church, Fleet Street, with its diminishing octagons ending in a spiralet shaped like a wedding cake. Then it goes on to tell us about the towers only, which were or are All Hallows the Great up at Thames Street, St Albans Wood Street, St Augustine with St Faith Watling Street, Christ Church Newgate Street, St Dunstan in the East Great Tower Street, St Mary Somerset up at Thames Street, St Olaf Jury Poultry. Outside the city there is one London church by Wren, St James, Piccadilly, 1683 to 4, built by Wren for the first Earl of St Albans as part of the development of the Piccadilly area. Greenwich Palace, London. In 1663, John Webb, Indigo Jones's pupil and nephew by marriage, began to build the King Charles building at Greenwich Palace. He used a giant order embracing 2 stories and gave the whole block a monumental effect by using bold, simple parts. As Kerry Downes has said, there is nothing properly to be called Baroque in England before the King Charles building at Greenwich. Webb intended the block to be one of a pair on the east and west sides of the court, leading up to a south range with a domed hall in the centre. This was never built, and Wren and Hawksmoor were to incorporate Webb's block into the huge hospital project begun in William III's reign. Nevertheless, it was the style of Webb's building which was to inspire and dominate the whole complex. The King Charles building is now part of the Royal Naval College at Greenwich, nearest underground station, New Cross Gate. London Museum. The Great Fire of London of 1666 altered dramatically the face of the city. The walled city and its haphazard crowded suburbs had become increasingly prone to plague and fire. The Great Fire, by completely destroying much of the old city, can be said to have hurried London out. Of the Middle Ages into the Renaissance. The Great Fire itself is graphically presented in a model which shows the extent of the destruction and the parts of the city which were left untouched. Even the examples of costumes exhibited exemplify the dividing line of the 1666 fire. The doublet and buff coat, derived from the Tudor period, gave way to the coat and waistcoat which have remained the basis of masculine dress ever since. The museum also has a fine collection of paintings and engravings of London during Charles II's reign. The London Museum is housed in part of Kensington Palace in Kensington Gardens. Okay, so I am going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed that little look at a guide to places of interest connected with Charles Christmas